in this lesson, we'll finalize the hatch animation as it exits the scene. To start out, we'll want to go ahead and uncheck the referencing of our character viz layer so that we can select the hat. We'll go to its top group that we've animated, and in our graph editor we just want to smooth out the interpolation of our animated transform attributes. Okay, we shouldn't set to smooth the visibility nor the blend parent. So let's go ahead and set that to plateau. Alright, so we have the hat now flying in the air. It's looking quite well. What we do want to do though is adjust the translation Y of it. Let's go there and make sure that we're getting some nice timing. Okay, the arc is there, but we need to adjust the timing. So we can go ahead and select this key on 260. Let's set it to flat tangency, and let's go ahead and bring this up. Then we can do the same for 270. Okay, again setting it to flat and then bringing up its left half. So we have this nice arc, and that's going to fix the timing. It's going to give us a better feeling of weight in the hat. Okay, great. Another thing we want to adjust here is the rotation of the hat. Okay, we did rotate it a little bit, but it wasn't enough. So what's going to be better to do, going to our rotate tool, is on about 260. Okay, being that we want it to end in this position that it's in on about 270, we can rotate it then from 260. Okay, we could just go to our Z and rotate it a bit in the other direction, maybe about 1 or 2 twists on 260, so that as the hat now flips, we can see it looks a little bit better, more interesting. Now another issue is the hand not coming in as far enough as we'd like, so we could always adjust that. But before we do, let's adjust the timing of the visibility of the hat. Because we've adjusted the character's position with the global control, of course we're going to need to then adjust the visibility as well of the hat. So we'll go to the visibility attribute, can select this key, and let's go ahead and move it down just 1 frame. Great. And we'll need to do the same for the character's hat, his actual hat. So we'll select that, hit the up arrow so we can get to its visibility, take this key and move it down 1 frame as well. There we are. Great, so we're just about done. Now what we need to do is bring our attention to the character's hand. So from here we can sit back to reference our character viz layer. We can go to our controls, select the hand control, and we want it to move in a little bit further into the scene. Okay, so looking at this on 269, can go to 270 where it should be a little bit further. Go to our translate Z, select this key on 270, and just bring this up a little bit more holding shift. Maybe just a little bit more. So just bring that in. Great, that looks better. Now, what we can do from here, if we stay with this key, let's go ahead and select the key on 280 and 290 or 287, and let's go ahead and delete them. We can use weighted tangency to fix this area. So we can just frame up the key, use Alt, Shift, and the right mouse button to get a wider view. We'll take the key on 291 and let's go ahead and bring down its right half to add a little bit more of a hold. So what we get is, alright, a little bit more of a hold here, but we can now add more of a hold with weighted tangency. So with the key selected, we can go to curves, go down to weighted tangents, free its tangent weight, and since we only want to modify the right half of it, we can break its tangency, then hold shift, hold the middle mouse button with the tangency selected and drag it over just so it holds a little bit longer. Okay, and then it also looks like to correct the arc here, we can possibly adjust this key on 271. If you try to move the tangent handle, it may give you a little bit of problems. You can try adjusting the tangency of the key on frame 271, just bringing it back a little bit more, and then that should give you enough room where you can now move the tangency of the key on 291. So let's see what we get. Alright, so now we're getting a better zip out. The character grabs the hat, holds for a long enough time where we can see what's happening. But I think it'd look a little bit more humorous if we had it hold for a little bit longer. So we'll just drag out the time on 271, the tangency on 271. Great, and now we have a better zip out. Also, another thing we could fix is the rotation of the hand. Okay, and the Z. Let's have that happen a little bit sooner. Okay, to show weight. So he grabs the hand, and then for the follow-through, actually, it's going to rotate a little bit sooner. So we could take this key on 280. Let's bring it to 277. See how that looks. Alright, another thing we could look at is seeing if we can possibly take this key on 271 and bring it up a little bit higher. That might not look too bad. So character grabs the hat. Great. So we can look at this, how it's coming along. And it would almost look like we can take this key on 271 and move it down maybe a couple of frames back to fix the rotation of the wrist a little bit more. Just refining this. Great, that looks better. Okay. Well, now the last thing, okay, before we get to adjusting another part of the animation, before we move on, is to animate the fingers so that they're open prior to grabbing the hat, and then wrap around the hat prior to exiting. So we'll finish off with the fingers, and then we'll just double check the hand to make sure that there's nothing else that needs to be done on the hand. And it should actually be fine. It looked great in the side view, so actually the hand looks great. So we could just work with the fingers. So what we'll do is go to about the point where the character grabs the hat. Let's see. Alright, so on 270, or even before that, when the arm is entering, we'll probably need to go to the shot camera for this. We'll want the hand to be in a closed position until it gets near to the hat, and then we could have it open. So on 266, let's go ahead and press the S key to lock in the hand's position there. And then going back to the perspective, it looks like we could actually make a quick adjustment to the wrist on 266, just rotating the hand so that it's more to the side view. So we'll make that adjustment, and that looks better. Alright, that's why we want to continue to double check each pose. Alright, so now as we continue, as the character is about to grab the hat, just prior to, on 269, let's go ahead and open up the hand. So we'll bring up the index. Remember, we want the pose to look somewhat interesting. Okay, so we can bring up the mid finger, we can bring up the ring. And bring up the pinky. And then for the thumb, maybe we could possibly bring that down in the Z and out in the Y. And then adjust the end part of that. So it looks like he's about to grab the object. Here's what we get. Great. And then as he makes contact with the hat on 270, we'll have him close in his hand a bit. So we'll bring down the Z, bring in the Y, bring in the C, Y attribute, and then just work on just having the rest of the fingers wrap around the hand, or wrap around the hat. Bring down the index. Okay, and maybe that might be fine for the index. We can go to the mid and bring that down. Maybe bring down the end part of the mid finger. And intersecting won't be too big of a problem here because you're not really going to see what's happening to the other fingers. We're just bringing them down so that we generally get the idea that there has been contact made between the fingers and the hat. So we can bring down the pinky, maybe even bring down its AZ attribute a little bit more. Rotate it in the X. Bring it down in the BZ attribute, maybe over in the Y so it's closer. And there we have it. Great, so if we were to look at this, go into our shot camera, hiding our curves, can look at this sequence and see how far we've come along. Very nice. So we just have a very a minimal amount of work to do now. We have the arms that need to be corrected, and again, we're going to add a little bit of motion to the character's upper body. But for the most part, this is pretty much done. So that's going to finish this lesson, and then the next lesson we'll work on bringing our attention to the animating the arms and the upper body.